Hello.
Hello.
So you enjoyed today's game?
Yeah,
They're good. They're
they are.
very good.
But the Moroccans gave him a bad time the first
Yeah, it
the
wasn't
first
so
half.
easy, but yeah, you can see the difference.
Yeah,
So right now, who's favored? France is still favored.
I think so. Even though I think the final will be with Argentina, and that's going to be a great game.
I think it's set up that way. I think that's a little, I don't want to say
No,
fixed, but it's
no, they can't because they could maneuver a little bit the
uh,
groups at the beginning, but
of the group.
then
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
so tomorrow it's England. No, no, tomorrow is Switzerland. I forgot already.
Hello, everybody.
No, no.
Greetings.
Oh,
Oh,
where
somebody's
are
on,
you, Abe? You're on the
somebody's
beach.
on vacation. Wow.
No,
Hey, why are you wearing a
I'm
jacket? Is
I'm
the
in my
breeze is it
backyard. I'm
strong?
cold.
Must be cold there, no?
Must be cold for sure.
Where
Yeah,
are
it
you in
looks freezing.
Hawaii?
No, no, I just got the screensaver.
What is it, Winnipeg?
You guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Buenas noches. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I was in Winnipeg once for business, and it was so cold. They allowed the homeless people to sleep inside the mall because otherwise they would freeze to death.
Where's the
In
where?
Winnipeg, you know
Oh,
the first people. What do they call them? The First Nations.
Aboriginals.
Yeah, the Aboriginals. They unfortunately they're all alcoholic. It's very sad.
Well, they're not only alcoholic, but they'll drink, smell everything like shoe polish. They used to melt shoe polish
Really,
and inhale it.
just to get high.
Yeah,
Wow.
used to see them on the
We do the
streets.
Daf to get high. Hi, Johnny.
hmm.
Wow, we have the whole collection.
Yeah, of what?
Ganze collection.
Oh,
How are you,
uh,
Mario?
good
where's our leader?
master.
You watched the game today, Mario?
Of course.
He played. We're talking about.
Yeah.
The rep gets the best workout. I'm telling you, back.
The referees, they must be in good shape,
Would have to be.
always.
Yep.
Okay.
Who do you think
Mario
is going
number
to win
two.
tomorrow, Mario? Spain or
Tomorrow,
You
Belgium?
Spain and Belgium.
you going to
Belgium, yeah,
SoFi?
Belgium beat Spain.
Harold, you taking us to SoFi tomorrow?
Of course,
Thank you.
with the top down.
Thank you. I think it's a good idea. Ernie, did you get us tickets from one of your reps?
You could park in Sentinella's parking lot. You know what they're
He's only charging
charging for
100.
parking there? Like
It's
crazy.
$200 for $200.
300, no,
I know.
300
I can
bucks.
give you my parking spot at Sentinella. You just walk. It's just down the block.
Just give me the tickets in the parking spot. I'll go.
Tickets we don't get anymore. That's not, Curl and Job, they're
It's not that you get the tickets. You
When
can
they're
get it.
playing here, Spain is playing here,
Yeah, tomorrow it's at SoFi at 11 o'clock. It's a good time.
12.
12? Okay, it's a great time.
oh my God, I'm gonna have a mess trying to get out of my office.
You're not getting out of your office.
I'm in Inglewood tomorrow, so
Oh, okay.
okay, we're on Iron 70. Iyad Marbaha, right? We had how come Rabbah Tzricha, why did we need to be told the Machlokas Ravuna and Rabbah because of chumras and leniencies? Iyad Marbaha come Rabbah. Maybe Rabbah ruled that the Bechor is only goes mikanu lahaba because it led to a chumrah. Aval Baha, in the other case, what leads to a leniency, maybe Amy Model Ravuna. Maybe he would agree with Ravuna that it goes Lamafreya, that it goes retroactive. So Tzricha, we needed the Machlokas in both cases. Okay, it's not. Hamivakeres Hamaksha Lele. You have a female animal that has never given birth before, and is having a problem in labor, and they have to sort of chop up the fetus. Mechatech Aver Aver, we said that as it's coming out, they cut off limb by limb. Umashlich leklovim, you could throw it to the dogs. And the Gemara understands it to mean my lav mechatech umeniach, that you didn't throw them immediately to the dogs, but you laid the limbs in a pile until rove of the fetus had come out. Then it would have a din of a bechor. But then, but if it's retroactive, that once it's born, we look at it as if it was born all from the beginning, you shouldn't have been able to throw the limbs to the dogs because you can't treat a bechor that way. You cover it with you should have buried it. So the Gemara says, we're not talking about meniach. That means as he cuts the limb off, he throws it to the dogs. Therefore, there's nothing extant. There's nothing in existence for the Kedushas Bechor to chala. And therefore, you would agree, so you're agreeing that if you waited for the limbs to gather until the majority was born, you would agree that you wouldn't throw it to the dogs, yikaver. Well, then why did the Mishnah get structured the way it was? Adatani Seifa, you waited until the Seifa to say Yatzer Rubo. Once the majority came out, yikaver. You have to bury it, but the animal has been given birth to a Bechor. Listen to the day. Right then, at the beginning of the Reish, he could have said, when can you throw it to the dogs as it's coming out? When you're throwing it limb by limb, you don't let it to gather. Right then and there. Why do you wait to the Seifa? So the Gemara says, I agree with what you're saying. When can you throw it to the dogs? When you cut off the limb and throw it right away. Exactly like you're saying. You have to bury it. Boy Rav. What does this mean? Let's say 51% of the fetus had come out. And of that 51%, part of it is a limb, but the majority of the limb is still inside. And therefore, come a boile. Hamiuta de broy. The minority of the limb that's outside, basarov de aver shadinanle. Do we reference that limb to the main limb that's still inside? Or do we say no? Even though the limb is in a minority, it has gone to calculate the 51%. And the Gemara seems to understand it as a davar pashut. We treat the limb, even though it's only 20% of the limb, the 80% of the limb is inside, but we use that minority to give the fetus 51%, and therefore we say it's born. So, it's not 51%, it's exactly 50% has come out of the fetus. And of that 50%, there's a limb, but 2/3 of the limb is outside, only 1/3 is on the inside. And we ask the question reverse, come boile. This part of the limb that's still in the womb, which is a minority of that limb. Do we throw the limb that's still inside and basically view it as it's part of the majority? And therefore we treat even the portion that's inside as if it's been born. Or we say no. Toshma, Yotzer Ruba, Reza Yakover. Once the majority of this fetus of a Bechor comes out, it has to be buried because you can't benefit from the Bechor. Now, my Rubo, Ile Merubo Mamish, If you're referring to 51%, and Ashtalosh Minan, the Rubika Kol, this isn't the first time in Shas that we've learned majorities like the whole thing. So what would it be teaching this year? That's not a big chiddush. It was exactly 50%. And the chiddush is, part of that 50% was a limb, where the majority of the limb came out. And now, even the little bit of the limb that's inside was thrown to the fetus, pushing it to above 50%. Now it's 51%. Versus low. It's like we said initially. The fetus came out 51% with a little bit of the limb. The majority of the limb is still on the inside. To teach me that what we said before, the minority of the limb is attached to calculating the 51% and not keeping it still sort of attached to the limb inside. Boy Rabba. Boy Rava. Krocho besiv mahu. Sieve is like the grass that grows on the top of a palm tree that hangs down. And you covered the fetus, even before it was born, you went inside the womb and you covered the fetus so that when it came out, the fetus did not touch the walls of the rechem. It's like we have, if you put matzah and you wrap it in a sieve and you swallow it on Pesach, are you mekayem mitzvahs matzah? There was a chatzitza between the matzah and your mouth. Same thing here. When it says that the fetus has to open up the rechem, it has to be in contact with the rechem. And if you covered it with a saran wrap, it's not viewed as a bechor. Betalisoma, let's say you wrapped it in a garment. Bishul yoso mahu. What if it's in its amniotic sac? So first of all, the Gemara immediately says, what do you mean bishul yoso orcho? What do you mean? Every fetus is born with an amniotic sac. That's the derech of being born. That can't be a chatzitza. Ela bishul yacheres ma. We're asking the shaila. You have the placenta of another animal, and you wrap this fetus in that placenta. Or, krochso v'achzoso v'tzioso ma'u. As the fetus is coming out, a person helping the animal be born put its hands around the head and pulled it out. And again, were the hands a chatzitza? Nahechidami. If the fetus came out with its head, well, once the head came out, patrata, it's a bechor. It came out feet first. And then she stuck her hands in, and her hands were around the head as it came out. And our shaila is, do the hands serve as a chatzitza? A weasel stuck its mouth into the womb of the cow, swallowed it, pulled it out, and then vomited it out. So the Gemara says, Hotziaso, afikte, if it was removed, so it came out without touching the walls of the rechem. So it's the same shaila as we've been asking. What kind of chiddush is that? Ela bloso v'tzioso v'chnioso v'kioso. The weasel stuck its head in and swallowed it and pulled it out. But then he put its head back in and vomited it up, and the fetus is back in the womb. And then Yotzim, then it came out. Ma'u. Is it the fact that it came out a second time like this, does it have a din of a bechor? Another question. Hid big shnei rechamim. You put two female cows back to back. V'yotza mizeh v'nichlas l'zeh. And a fetus came out of one and it went into the other one, of the second animal. Now, didei potar, that its mother that gave birth to it certainly would be potar it has given birth to Bechor. But when it goes into the other in a reverse fashion, the lavdi de lo potter, but the other mother, it can't potter, or the lavdi de nami potter. Or maybe that fetus can open up even the womb of the other mother. On all these questions, Teku. To Sofek. Boy Ravacha. Niftachu kotzle beisarecha mau. The birth canal opened up. The fetus is basically slid out and never touched the walls of the uterus. Is it just the space? Avi rechem magdish? As long as it goes through the airspace, that's enough. Or it has to touch the walls of the womb. Boimar baravashi. Nekru koisle beis rechamau. The walls are gone. They were torn. So nekru, lisnu. Well, if there's no rechem because the walls have been torn off, then of course it cannot be niskadesh. Ella nekru v'tolu b'tzavari mai. The walls of the birth canal got torn and it's around the neck of the fetus. Does the rechem only miskadesh bin koima on mekachi when it's in its normal place and the fetus goes through it? Then it's miskadesh. And shalobim kom and lo miskadesh when it's not in its proper place, it doesn't miskadesh. Oidil shalobim kom and nami miskadesh. Maybe the uterus can be miskadesh even not in its normal place. Boimei Rav Yirm Rav Zera. Nikmemu koisle beis rechamau. The inside got peeled away. That's the same shaila we've been dealing with. The boy Rav Zeir Ami Law, boy mine Rav Zeir Mirabasi. Oy made meruba la poretz v'yotza derech poretz. The opening is bigger. That means the amount of uterus that's there is more than the opening, and the fetus came out by the opening. Or parutz meruba la'oimet v'yotza derech oimet. The opening is greater, but it came out through what is remaining. The shaila maybe is when the opening is bigger than what remains of the walls. The ikka oimet ba'oila. Well, there's some wall there, and the fetus came out, so maybe it would be miskadesh. But if the walls completely got peeled away, there's no shaila. So we would say definitely there would not be kedushas b'chor. Okay. Item of base Mishnah. Behema shemei. We know if an animal dies without shchita, so it has tumas nevela. You touch it, you become tummy. So behema shemeis uber b'soch me'eha. Pregnant cow, and a fetus dies in the womb. The shepherd wants to check, is the fetus okay? And he puts his hand in the womb and he touches this dead fetus. In the womb, the carcass of the fetus, whether the animal is a kosher animal or not a kosher animal, like a donkey or a pig or a camel, you do not become tamei. Rabbi Yosef Glili Oimer. No. If you touch the fetus of a dead animal in a non-kosher animal, b'tmeya tamei. If you touch the fetus of a kosher animal, b'tohira, tohor. My time at Tanakama, why does it make no difference? It's always tohor, whether it's kosher or not. Amrav Chizda, Kavachomer. Im ho'ila imo latir b'achila. If when you shecht a kosher animal, you can eat the fetus inside of it, whether it's alive or dead. Lo toya lo latarosa b'dei nevela. It certainly should also maintain its purity, and it's not tumas nevela while it's alive. Ashkachan be'emet tohira. Fine. You gave me a proof why the fetus of a behemoth Torah remains tohor. Behema tmea mino. How do you know for a non-kosher animal? Omer kra. V'chiyamus mina behema. If an animal dies, zu behema tmea. This references a non-kosher animal. Asher hi lachem le'achla. But there are other animals that you can eat. Zu behema tohira. And therefore, there's a hekesh, a connection, an equation. Iskish behema tmea lebehema tohira. In some respect. Ma behema tohira urba tohar. Just like in a kosher animal, we've proved that the fetus that dies in the womb of the kosher animal, if you touch it, based on that kal v'chomer, if you touch it, you remain tahor. Af behema tmea urba tohar. So too, a donkey or a pig or a camel, whatever, the fetus in the womb that dies, if you touch it, you remain tahor. Okay, that's the Tanakama. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, my time, why does he say that by behema tmea you become tamei? Rav Yitzchak, the Kra, the kol holech al kapav, animals that walk on its paws,
Oh,
b'chol achaya haoleches, in animals that walk on four hooves. Now, kosher animals that have a split hoof are considered that they walk on 8 hoofs. An animal that is being referenced walking on 4 hoofs is a non-kosher animal that does not have a split hoof. So, a kol holech al kapav bechol achaya holechas, within a chaya that walks, is mahalche kapayim bechaya timesilach. That chayas that are dead, but would normally walk if they were alive, that are in other animals that are alive, which refers to fetuses of behemoths tohiras that are in their womb that have died. Rabbi Yossi learns they become tummy for you. Elamayata kolut may parali tame. If you have a kosher cow and it has a fetus inside of it, but there's a mutation, and instead of having a split hoof, it has 1 hoof, right? And therefore, it's an animal with 4 hoofs. Is the mahalche kapayim b'chayu? It should fulfill Rabbi Yossi's rule that it should be tamei. Why did Rabbi Yossi say there are, in all kosher animals, it's always Torah? Mahalche kapayim b'mahalche arba. When do we say that it's tamei? That's a fetus that's dead within a womb of an animal that walks on 4 hooves, which are non-kosher, like we said, because they're not split. Vahai, we said the kosher cow with a mutation inside of it, where the hoof looks like only 1 hoof, is mahalche arba, mahalche shmonehu, which does not fulfill Rabbi Yossi Aglili's rule. But parbi megama lotitame. Well, based on this, if a camel is pregnant and the fetus looks like a cow, it should not be metame, because malche shmona malche arba. It's a fetus that walks on 8, because it has a split hoof. 4 legs times 2 is 8. Within a malche arba. And yet Rabbi Yossi said any unclean animal, like a gamal, it will always be tamei. In this case, it should be tor. Hoylech v'chol hoylech l'rabos parbi megamal. Special pasuk that if a fetus that looks like a parah is found in the womb of a camel, it would also have the tumas of nevela. Call it b'meikluta l'tamei. Now, if you have a cow that does not have a split hoof, it's the hooves are joined, and you have a fetus that looks the same way. The malche arba b'malche arbahu, and therefore the pasuk says it's tamei. Why does Rav Yossi always say that a kosher animal like a cow, it'll always be tahor? So that's why we use the kal v'chomer. Lachiani kal v'chomer Rav Chizda. Maski flora chavoy barami chazir b'mei chazir telo l'tamei. Based on this, a pig within a female pig should not be metame because the a pig has a split hoof. The pig doesn't chew its cud, but it has a split hoof. It should be tar based on the rules we've given. So we have to change everything we learned. Different pasuk. Nefesh asher tiga b'chol tamei, a person who touches anything that's tamei, o b'nivlas chayat meya, or it's within the nevela of a chayat meya, o b'nivlas behemat meya, o b'nivlas sheretz tamei. V'chi nivlas behemat meya metame u'v'tahor lo metame. I understand. Only the nevela of an unkosher animal transmits tumah, but the nevela of a kosher animal does not. That's not true. We have other psukim that says even the nevela of a kosher animal converts tumah. Then what is this pasuk referring to? Zeuber. It's referring specifically to the case of a fetus that died in its mother womb. That a fetus, dead fetus within a unkosher animal's womb is tamei betumas nevela. But if a fetus that dies is in the womb of a kosher animal, it remains tahor. So now you have this. Why do I need Rav Yitzchak Lamali? Ilav Rav Yitzchak Havamina kula lechad Rabbi Huda Asa. We're going to see a drasha later on in Rebbe. Kamash Malon, that even the fetus of an animal with hooves that are together, even a kosher animal is tamei betumas nevela. But we'll see that later on Daf Ayin Aleph. Tanya. Omer Rav Yonason. Namti lo ben Azai. I spoke to Ben Azai. Lamadu nivlas behemat torah shemetame. The carcass of a kosher animal conveys tumah. The nivlas behemat tmei shemetame. A donkey, a pig, a camel, the nevela of an unclean animal is also metam. Nivlas chaya tmeya shemetam. A chaya, which is not kosher, a lion, an elephant, right? The only kosher chayas we know are deer. There are others, but primarily deer. But there are chaya, the nevela of a unkosher chaya conveys tumah. However, nivlas chaya tahora lo laman. The carcass of a deer that you kill with a gun or an arrow, rather than through shchita, we don't have a source for whether it's metame or not. Minayim. So Namli ben Azai taught, Kol holech al kapav, v'chol hachaya ha'olechas. So that is referring to a chaya of a kosher animal. Nantilo. V'chinemer v'chol chaya. It doesn't say only the kosher. V'lo ela b'chol chaya. Any chaya. L'malchei kapayim b'chayu de'asa. It seems to refer to a fetus only that's found in the womb. Namli umay Yishmael omer b'davar zeh. How did Rabbi Shmuel learn here? Namtilo. V'chiyamus min habehema zu behema tmeya. When do you become a nevela? When you die, that's an unkosher animal. Asher hilachem liachlat, animals that you can eat, zu behema tohira. So when you touch the nevela of either, you become tamei. So from there, we're going to see the same thing by a chaya. Sometimes chayas are referred to as behemoth, sometimes behemoths are referred to as chaya. So therefore, since we learned that by a behemoth, it makes no difference, the carcass conveys tumah, whether it's a kosher animal or not, the same thing by a chaya. That's where Rabbi Shmuel learns. Okay, we're going to stop here. So tomorrow, we'll learn at 5 o'clock. Okay, 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Shkoyach.